Did you know that you can save hundreds on your Disneyland vacation with just a few smart hacks? We are sharing essential tips and tricks to help you maximize your fun at Disneyland while keeping your budget in check.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica. Now let's jump into this week's episode.
How do we afford to go to Disneyland so often? We hear that question all the time, but we have found some Disneyland vacation hacks to save a bunch of money. So today we're going to share them with you. And make sure you tell us your favorite Disneyland money saving tips in the reviews and comments. Becca, let's get us to Disneyland and let's get our friends listening to Disneyland. Money is always a factor, budget is always an issue. We need to talk the ways that we afford these trips and how people can cut back on their expenses when they're looking to plan a Disneyland vacation. First big
Yeah.
thing, fly versus drive. Let's talk money there.
Yeah. So for some people, they'll fly no matter what. And I think sometimes as you get older, you lean more towards that. But when you're a family, sometimes you can drive, even when you think about the wear and tear on your vehicle, or even sometimes I've rented a vehicle and driven down because it's still cheaper than flying for my family. So flying versus driving, a lot of it's what you prefer, but sometimes budget is a factor. And especially if you're coming from somewhere that doesn't offer um, direct flights or the flight options just aren't as good, you may choose to drive. Also, one reason I choose to drive sometimes is if we are going to try and hit up like San Diego on top of Disneyland, or we're going to go up to Universal. Sometimes it's nice to just have your own vehicle for that drive down to a different area. So flying versus driving, you just got to do the math and just don't forget to take into account any extra fees. So like for flying, are you going to have check bag fees if you, depending on what airline you're flying? And then for driving, don't forget to think about the wear and tear on your car. Or if you're not going to drive straight there, are you going to have to stay at hotels overnight? Or are you going to have family you can stay with? Maybe you don't have to stay in hotels. So definitely think about those things and just do the math.
Right. And sometimes people with young kids who want to drive like overnight while their kids are sleeping, that is a key, right? So you're like
Yeah.
not wasting that time. And time is money, but we need to choose where we're giving up that time. Is it going to be in the flight or is it going to be during the drive? Because if you need to keep that like scheduled, maybe flying is better because you're going to be able to be at work. On that same note, how many of us are working remotely?
Yeah.
And how many of us have been able to accommodate some sort of work schedule while on vacation? I know we've done it, even if that means my husband works a half day or a few hours. So he's not taking all of that PTO for the vacation.
Yeah, definitely. And also, don't forget though, where time wise, delays happen a lot now. It feels like with flights. So sometimes driving is a little more like predictable as far as
Right.
time. So, but if you're going to book a flight, I definitely suggest looking for deals. Obviously, I love Southwest. I'm doing a huge trip. By the time this airs, I've probably already done it, but I'm doing to Florida, to California, and then home. And I booked all of that with points. So all I had to pay was the taxes and fees, right? So that
Okay.
was a big savings for that trip. So that's another great way to save on the flight. And then one thing I've done when we have a big trip, when we went to Hawaii or when we go to Florida or somewhere that's going to be a lot more expensive for my family, is I'll buy, Costco often has like $500 Southwest gift cards for $450 or something like that. And so I'll buy those. Just remember at least with Southwest, there's limits to how you can use those. Like each person can only use up to 2 gift cards. So you have to think about that as well. But yeah, I think there's great ways to save money when you want to fly. So just because driving may be cheaper doesn't mean you can't save money flying.
Okay, so you're using points on an airline reward system. A lot of times those actually most of the time, I can't think of any where the reward system itself is free to join.
Yeah.
And then you earn points as you fly. But also let's just get this out of the way. Um, are you also racking up tons of debt on reward credit cards in order to be able to pay for your vacation?
Not me. No. I don't do that. We don't use credit cards. We don't have the credit cards. I do fly a lot, which gives me points, but yeah, my family doesn't. Now I know you
Okay.
have a airline credit card, but I'm I think that most people are hopefully just paying that off every month if they have it and
Okay,
getting
cool.
the points.
So
So,
we have one example, Becca, who doesn't use credit cards for her vacations or period in general. And then she mentioned, yeah, I do have those airline credit cards, but I do pay them off every month. And it's not a let's pay for our vacation and go right now. Put it on the credit card and then pay for it later. So
right.
we love to go on these Disney trips, Becca and I, with our families, with friends, but we strongly advocate for debt-free entertainment.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been a fundamental of our work and travel strategies. So while we tell you use maximize these point offers, maximize those things, we just want you to know that that's the taking on debt for travel and entertainment is not part of our strategy. And we always want you guys to be able to make these trips and make these memories without putting your family in debt. And of course,
Yeah.
income is different for everyone, so that's going to play a big factor in it, but we just want you guys to know that this is something that is attainable, and sometimes it means purchasing those things in advance, like you said, the gift cards when they're on sale. So just putting a little bit away all the time so that you have
Yeah.
that travel fund.
Yeah, and
But let's
if it's easier for you to make payments on the vacation, so let's talk about hotels and tickets because those are things
Yeah,
that are they're the biggest two things that you're purchasing other than possibly flights, right? One thing I love is our partners
exactly.
at Getaway Today offer a layaway plan. So you can book for $200 down and then you can make payments towards your trip. It just has to be paid off. I think it's like 5 to 14 days or something, depending on where you're booking before the trip. So it's a great way for if you don't have that cash up front and you know you want to be able to make payments that you can do that. There is a small fee for doing the layaway plan, but it's a great option. If you are able to purchase them all at once, then you can also do that through our partners at Getaway Today, and you can save money on your hotels and your tickets. We even have an exclusive ticket price for you, and you can do that at getawaytoday.com/castle talk, um, so that you can get our exclusive deal.
I think the layaway plan is a good option when you don't trust yourself to put away like a set amount. That's where that comes in. You're paying that little fee just to make yourself put those payments in. And another thing that's cool about it is it's not necessarily a set payment. So you could say, oh my gosh, like I know I'm going to have overtime this week. I'm going to
Mhm.
put in $500, but next week or next month, I'm going to put in 100. It's not
Yeah,
like a set plan. But if you do want to get a little more disciplined about it, you can always open up another savings account attached to your existing account. And I love to label my savings accounts for what I'm actually working towards and then just have it auto deducted however often.
yeah. And one thing with this layaway, a lot of people worry they're stuck with whatever price they book with on the layaway plan at Getaway Today.
Mhm.
I just want to point out as well that they do not penalize you for booking early. So if a better price comes along and it matches your travel dates and you haven't traveled yet, then they will make that adjustment for you. And then you have less to pay than you thought you did. And so it kind of helps out as well there. Okay, but those are my top ways to save getting to your vacation, like
Right.
making the vacation actually happen.
And when you get to the parks, it's like a whole new thing because you are not only do you have like this mega massive company with all this money and brains behind it, like, pushing you to buy the things. You're also on vacation and you're in a good mood and you're carefree, and sometimes all that careful planning in advance can go out the window, so we want to save you money once you're in the parks, and it takes a little bit of planning and a little bit of dedication. First thing is food, because I can easily spend $100 for one meal on my family. Granted, we are a family of 5 adult-sized people.
Yeah, and that's at a quick service. I mean, you're easily
Yep.
spending $100 at a quick service. So there are definitely ways to save there. And one thing that a lot of people like to do because they still want those in-park meals is they like to find things that can be shared, right? And so that could be as simple as sharing snacks, churros. They're long churros, break those up, and then you have a cup, maybe you only need 2 for your family instead of 5, right?
Mhm.
Maybe 3. Um, but there's also restaurants that their serving portions are huge and you could easily split the meal. The one I always think of first is Plaza Inn because I mean you get half a chicken when you get the fried chicken meal, right? So that
Yep.
one's and then you also get a heaping thing of potatoes and a heaping thing of green beans. Their pasta dishes are also very large. All those are very easy to split. What's another one you can think of that you can split, Jessica?
Rancho del Zocalo, where they serve Mexican food. And one of the things that we tried to do, especially as the kids were kind of going through growth spurts as teenagers, is we say, like, let's order less and we can always order more if you're still hungry. Because there was this
Yeah.
weird spot where we were kind of ordering them like these big adult menu items and then they weren't finishing it. But then some days they're just devouring it. So I always put that in my plan. Like, let's just get this much food. And if we're still hungry, we can absolutely order some more because I think that's where like growing teenage boys, especially, are like, I
Mhm.
have to order this food because it's my only chance.
Yeah, definitely. And the another one I want to bring up is the pizza places, specifically I think of Boardwalk Pizza, where it's a better deal usually to just get a full pizza than to purchase multiple slices. So if you can all agree, that's the big part there though. You all have to agree on the type of pizza
Hmm.
to get, but that's another great one. Yeah, we do a lot of splitting of meals, and I like the idea of starting small. And then, of course, when there's a food festival, some people really use sip and savor passes to their advantage to save money. Now, you and I recently, and probably in several episodes, have talked about for us, a lot of times it's the convenience. It's prepaid. You can just go get it's really great for giving to a teen or a tween to just get what they want if they're um, wanting to get their own stuff. But some people really do the math and they divide the cost of the sip and saver pass by how many tabs they have. And they'll figure out, okay, every item I get with this, I want it to cost more than what the tab is worth. And then they use that, they get the most expensive items with that, and it saves them money. So that's another option. I just don't find it that fun to do all that math and then try and make sure everything I order is over that price. So I don't do that. But there is something that my family does a lot. Do you know what? And we used to do it even more than we do now. But do you know what it is, Jessica?
Bringing in snacks and food.
Yes, yes. So Disney, I will say, is one of the best parks for families that need to save money by bringing in their own food. There's not many parks that will let you bring in all your own food. Like they have a picnic area with lockers if you want to bring a bigger cooler. But if you want to bring something smaller, or if you're lucky enough to still have a stroller, I don't anymore, so we don't carry that. But like even at Walt Disney World, we took a cooler backpack filled with things. And our friend Julie, her husband had a cooler backpack one time when we were all there. But bringing in snacks and even full meals, you can do that. I have a full article with tips and then like the rules because there are some rules to what you can bring in and what you can't, and also just tips to make sure your bread isn't drying out, that kind of stuff. Um, One thing we like to do though is sometimes we'll bring in like sandwiches, right? Whether it's Uncrustables or sandwich fixings. And then we'll order one of those kids power packs, I think is what they're called. I can't remember. I should have looked it up before this episode, but it's the one that has carrots and a yogurt smoothie and
Right.
banana, and it's just like healthy snacks. Some people don't think some of the stuff in there is healthy, but we get that, and then we split that stuff so that we all have like the carrots, and we all have, I think there might be apple slices in it too or something. We all get a little bit of that, and so it makes it so we don't have to bring in a ton of stuff, but we still are saving a lot of money by doing it that way.
I think
And
snacks and drinks, if you can bring those in or avoid buying those in the parks, unless you're bringing in all your meals, then maybe you want to buy snacks. Like kind of swap
yeah.
some things. What's important to you? Um,
Mhm.
if you go on cruises or familiar with the cruises, a lot of times you buy a drink package separate. So, you could always just tell the kids we don't have the drink package this time. So we're gonna do
Yeah.
water, or we're gonna bring in those little
Um,
dry,
yeah.
mixes of, like, Gatorade and put that in
Yeah.
your water so that it's not completely plain.
Right. And also bring in your reusable water bottles if you have some. If you don't, just bring in a water bottle that's a one you can refill, right? Because one, Disney is putting in, especially at Disneyland, they've put in several more refill stations that are filtered. So you can refill your water bottle in a lot of places, and you can always get free ice water at the quick service restaurants. My favorite to fill my water bottle at is Pizza Planet in Disneyland, and then Pim's Test Kitchen in California Adventure, because you can walk up to the machine and just get the ice and then fill it with water. But definitely bring that water bottle in, because I checked, like we always joke they're $8 a bottle, but they are like 5 or six
Oh, they
dollars
are.
for a bottle of water. So maybe not 8, but they're 5 or 6. So you don't want to be spending that, especially if there's multiple people. Okay, so those are the main ways my family saves, but there's also, I mean, those are easy, I think. I think where a lot of us, I think there's other places we might fall short, Jessica. What do you think?
Us personally, as far as spending or just in general?
People in general, but us sometimes. Like I've gotten better at it lately, but what's something, there's
Like,
always you know what I'm talking about. There's always something new.
buying stuff?
Yeah, merchandise,
Stuff.
stuff. I've gotten a lot better at it lately. There's not as much stuff that catches my eye anymore.
Mhm.
But I mean, I have a decent Minnie Mouse ear collection, and I have a decent Magic Band collection and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And so one of the things I think we can do is, one, we can find ways to get discounts, right? So if you have a Disney Visa, you get a discount in the park. If you have a Magic Key, you get a discount on merchandise in the park. Um, Another thing is finding discount Disney gift cards. There's the Target Red trick. We don't have time to really reveal that, but I know I have it in an article. I think you probably have something on your site with it too. You can basically save 5% on your Disney gift cards. Um, but I, Julie had something she does that she really likes to do. Do you know what that is, Jessica?
Mm-mm, I don't remember.
She likes to buy items elsewhere and bring them with her. So, like at Target, those types
For,
of
like, the
things.
souvenir.
Yeah, because a lot of times they have the same toys, but they're cheaper
Mhm.
because they're not priced for in the parks. So you can
Gotcha.
buy things ahead of time, or even like in the Targets and Walmarts around Disneyland.
Mhm.
Have you been in them?
Yes, and they are like a Disney store, so
Yeah, they have so much stuff. And then there's also thrift stores both around Disneyland and Walt Disney World that carry a lot of Disney stuff as well. So there's lots of places that you can go and get items that are Disney, and you can like pack them away and maybe take them out throughout the trip. Another thing that's really important though, like there are going to be things that you're just going to only be able to get in the parks, and you're going to want them. I always set spending limits. So if my kids, I try to give them a gift card, or, those Visa debit gift cards or whatever for them to spend in the parks, and that's their limit. And for the longest time, my kids got $25 because they were little and they didn't want things that were super expensive. So their limit was $25. Now it's higher, but they also earn their vacation spending money. So by doing
yep.
work for people. So we have that we do. We set limits, and those limits are followed. And we also have rules around the spending. If I can find it on Amazon for cheaper, like I can do a quick search. You're in the park, just do a quick search. They want that Buzz Lightyear toy. It's $10 cheaper on Amazon. Let's get it from there instead. So there's things like that that we do. Is there anything you guys do to help you save on merchandise so you don't go
Yeah,
crazy?
well, some of the things they do have at the Disney store, and they might be a little bit cheaper. So Disney store online. And
Good.
then what you can do is have it shipped during your trip and it can be there when you get back. So
Yeah.
that's always something that's smart to look at when you're looking at merchandise.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are the biggest ways to save. Obviously, choosing a hotel that's a better price, and there's lots of options like staying a little bit farther away. Those are going to save you the most, right? No matter what, a Disneyland vacation is going to cost money. It's
Okay.
not that it's going to suddenly be
Right.
half price, right? Like that's not our goal to cut it down to half price. I mean, maybe it's half price from the person that's staying at the Grand and eating everything in the parks, but it's still going to cost a good chunk of change. The point
Right.
is
Yeah.
that with everything we save, that is more often we can go, right? The more we save on one trip, the closer we are to our next trip. That's my feeling with it. And so these hacks hopefully will help other people save money on their vacations.
Yeah, and if there is something that is your budget hang up that we haven't discussed or you want us to go into in more detail, let us know in the comments or podcast reviews because we want to help get past those big things. Whether it's your hotel choices or like, do I spend more money to stay at a hotel that offers free breakfast? Well, it depends, right? Is that realistic for your family to get up that early and actually enjoy a full breakfast? Or are you going to need to put in some budget money towards breakfast at the parks? Things like that. There's so many things to consider, but we really want this to be within reach for you. And really, what determines it is the timeline. Everyone's timeline is going to be different because we can all put aside some money, and your timeline just might be a little bit different than others. But just got to keep moving forward, as Walt said. And of course, a reminder the way to get the best savings on your tickets and hotels is to book through Getaway Today. You want to use our link that's getawaytoday.com/castle talk. And of course, if you want to talk through your options, call 855 Getaway and let them know Castle Talk Radio sent you. You can get a live agent on the phone who's been to all these hotels and looked at them and stayed at them, and they can walk through those price points and different options for you. We hope to see you at Disneyland real soon. And either way, we'll be here to help you plan that vacation.